You are listening to The Ben Keech Show, where every day the objective is simple. Ben will never stop fighting the fight and lighting the light on topics that affect you every day.
What is going on, everybody out there? It is a week before the Chiefs play some team in California for the right to be the champions of the NFL. So we'll see what's going on there. My jet is actually warmed up outside because I'm flying to the Grammys to watch Taylor Swift since Travis Kelce can't make it because he's at practice. So I'll let you know how that goes in a future episode, not today. Anyway, all honesty, we are so happy that you're here in episode number 36. And today, like I told you last time, we're going to have a kind of a special treat as Beth Reams is coming back. We're talking about some different stuff today, and we kind of alluded to some of that last time. But before we get to that, I definitely encourage you, if you haven't watched that, get over to YouTube, subscribe, give Beth some love and some comments in that section on YouTube. That was super personal and a lot of just so interesting things, and we're gonna kind of complete the rest of the story today. A little bit different though today is that we have Beth actually here in studio today, so it'll be a little different experience. Beth, how you doing?
Good.
Why don't you we're talking about teaching. Both of us have been teachers. And Beth's story is literally crazy. But before we get into all the details about that, where did you teach? How long? What's the scoop with your teaching history?
So I taught at Pembroke Hill, a private school here in Kansas City, for 25 years, high school math, and went there straight out of college, made it my career home, and spent 25 years doing what I love with high school kids until I was no longer doing it, thanks to the administration there.
Right. Well, we're gonna to give a little bit more background. If you're not familiar with the Kansas City area, Kansas City has two what some would consider elite, non-religious in nature private schools. Well, there's more technically, but there's two in particular. Pembroke Hill is one of them. So, costs quite a bit of money to go there.
Costs quite a bit of money, non-denominational, very affluent people go there, but lovely, lovely people. I loved all my students. I love the people that are there. Yes.
And, a long time I had a connection coaching a group of kids at Pembroke a long time ago. Some of my favorite kids I ever coached back when I was in college, so just a couple of years ago. All right, so we're going to kind of get right into the story. So just to kind of create the scenario, I'm going to just say a couple things. So Beth she's doing all the clubs, she's sponsoring, she's like as involved as a teacher as you could be in Pembroke High School. And kind of bring everybody up to the point where things got a little funky with the administration. How'd that all go?
Well, I'm glad you said that about the involvement, because I did all the things. Yeah. Loved doing all the things. So what happened was in August of 2020, good old COVID, we were just gearing up to go back to school with all the things around that. In August of 2020, on my personal Facebook page, I am very outspoken on my Facebook page, and I am conservative. I am pro-life, I am pro-gun, and I'm very outspoken about all of those things. Yeah. One of the things that I felt about COVID, all the lockdowns and everything, was how crazy it was, how quickly our world shut down.
Right.
And how we did whatever the government told us to do.
Yeah.
Don't go to church. Don't go spend time with your family. Don't get in gathering groups. So it came across my page on Facebook from another friend.
But doesn't the government always know best, aren't they?
Well, of course.
I feel like they know. I mean, they're always so wise and intelligent. So anyway, go ahead.
We need to do whatever they tell us.
Whatever they tell us, okay.
So a friend of mine, actually, on their Facebook page, posted a post that said something to the effect of, if people were told about virus protection camps, they would happily jump on the train.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is my late husband and I were talking about this during a walk, and I mentioned that coming up on my page, and I was like, oh my God, that's how I feel about COVID, about everybody's just following the government. Government tells you to do this, government tells you to do that, you do it.
Right.
So if the government said, hey, here's these trains that you can get on and they take you to a virus-free island, everybody's just going to follow, right? So it was about not blindly following government mandates.
Right.
So I posted it. Now, I will say, also, it had in the background Auschwitz, and my husband and I had talked about how it was like the Nazis blindly following Hitler.
Right.
You know, Hitler said, let's get rid of millions of people because he didn't like what they stood for. The Nazis are like, go for it. Let's kill everybody, you know?
Right.
So that was my tie to it. It was all about blindly following the government. So I share it on my personal Facebook page and didn't really think much about it. A couple days later, I get some comments from 2 alumni that I was friends with on Facebook, just kind of ripping me apart, saying it was anti-Semitic, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, no way, shape, or form. I don't even understand.
Right.
But I am very strong in my faith and respect everyone's faith. So I would never want to offend anybody. So I took it down, and I was like, please explain to me. Like, so in the sidebar, I asked these 2 young women, well, explain to me, what do you mean?
Right.
And so it kind of went from there.
Well, what'd they say? What'd they say? Was it what offended them about
what
that?
They claimed was that I was posting that the Jewish people were blindly going to their death. Like they were blindly getting on these boxcars and going to Auschwitz.
Right.
That it was that I was like mocking the Jewish people that were being killed.
Right, which again, I don't know out there how many people have, like literally I've never heard one person ever think or say that. If you know anything about history and anything that's gone on, the question is, how did Hitler execute fighting a war, World War II, against almost really everybody, and then plus ultimately exterminating 6 million Jews and millions of non-Jews? How did he pull that off?
Right.
And he did it through a lot of means: power, manipulation, control, and then even roping in people from other countries to do this. Never have I heard an interpretation of blame or as if they should have. I mean, that doesn't even logically make sense.
Hence why when they told me this, I was like, I don't even understand what you're saying to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how it could even be seen that way. Like you said, who even thinks that? Like,
Right.
How could it have been posted with that intent when there's nobody that I've ever met in my entire life, nor you, that thought that?
Right. And I think that in a perfect world, which we're far from it for lots of reasons, just that explanation. Look, here's what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the intent. Here's actually not even what I meant. This is the intent of everybody who's seen this. Does that make sense to you? It's like, because there's and it should just be done.
Should be done.
There should be a short podcast episode. There should be nothing controversial should even happen at this point. We're done. But
exactly.
Something tells me we're not quite done. So what's
not in the least. So here's what's interesting. In that side conversation with this one individual in particular, and I will also say a little background about this person, was an alumni that had been very openly against my views on my own Facebook page for 2 years before this, and commenting against my mother, commenting against me, being very rude and disrespectful.
Wow. Okay.
And that was the person that called this out.
Shocker.
So I had deleted it because I'm like, I don't want to go against anybody's religion, and knee-jerk kind of reaction. But what's interesting is then I get, a couple of days later or something, I get a phone call from my principal. Something of the nature of, Beth, we need to talk about your Facebook. Now, mind you, let me also say, around the same time, there was another post that I had made. It was during a time where AOC was on the steps of the Capitol and somebody called her a bitch.
Okay.
And everybody was going crazy saying she was called a bitch because she was a female. And my comment was, maybe she was called a bitch because she was acting like a bitch. I don't know. But let's not say, here, it's all because you're a woman. It's all because you're a woman. You know, I just don't go down that road.
Right.
And I had gotten some grief about that post as well. Like, Beth, how dare you allow a woman to be called out of her name? And I'm like, well, I mean, sometimes we don't act very, in a way, nicely that we might get called out of our name. Anyway, so that had happened the same time. And so when my principal called me, I honestly thought it was about that post, because I had gotten more grief about the AOC thing than I had about the other.
Right.
So I was like, okay. Needless to say, that phone call was not pleasant.
I think you could actually make a guess that one is political, one is tying into race and ethnicity and religion, and it's more fun to attack that because they don't want to act like they're coming against your political views. So we're gonna go with this whole made up version of this post, and because anything connected at times to race is going to gain traction. Mm-hmm. Technically, political stuff shouldn't, but we all know that it does.
Yes,
I mean that's a guess.
Religion, definitely, you can be held more accountable regarding religion than political affiliation. And
I don't even think that your post was actually religion. It was technically just the race and ethnicity of the Jewish people. Some of them could practice Judaism, some may not, because you can be Jewish and be atheist. You could be Jewish and be Christian. You could be Jewish and follow the religion Judaism. So even trying to connect religion, there's a really loose interpretation from them. By the way, we're going to keep going here. There's literally 3 hours of content that Beth has done on her podcast, Be Real with B. Reams, which you can find on Apple and Spotify. And she goes through like emails and dates and times and conversations. And I mean, I'm telling you what, it is the most interesting 3 hours of podcast I have ever listened to. Every second of it, it's crazy, the whole story. We're not going to get 3 hours of content. We're going to keep going. But I just wanted to make sure that those of you out there that are watching or listening, you need to check that out. It's insane, the story. And anyway, let's keep going.
Thank goodness I take good notes.
I way better than I would.
Record everything, people.
Yeah. Okay, so this is creating a little bit of drama. What's
Stuff's
next?
going on. Now, also, when I got that message about my principal wanting to talk to me, I reached out to that alumni that I had this talk with, that I had the talk on Facebook with.
Right.
I reached out to her and I said, you know what, I'm getting a phone call from the principal. Is there something I should worry about? Like, were there screenshots taken and sent amongst the community? And she's like, no, not for me.
Right.
Lies.
Right.
Lies. Right. I mean, so anyway, the conversation, what was interesting is the conversation was not just my principal calling me. It was my principal and the head of HR.
Okay.
We're on the phone. So anybody then, you being a teacher would think, okay, why is head of HR on this phone call?
Yeah, that's odd.
I mean, odd, right? Basically, that post, the post about COVID or whatever, it was talked about for 5-6 minutes, whatever. I explained my side of it. I said that I had reached out to these alums and we had talked and whatever. Then for probably 15-20 minutes, we talked about the AOC post. And so, again, I'm thinking, oh, that's the big deal. That's the problem here. And we talked a lot about it. And I remember saying on that phone call, my principal again was like, Beth, how could you be okay with a woman being called out of her name? And I flat out said to him, I said, I'm pretty sure that I've called somebody a bitch before. You've probably called somebody a bitch before. I mean, come on.
Right.
It's all about behavior. It's all about actions. It's all about, I'm also not a very easily offended person.
Right.
So somebody calls me that, maybe I'm acting like it. Who knows? But anyway, we have that conversation and I can tell they're upset about it. They want me to be more cautious with what I post.
Sure.
And I'm like, sure, of course. And that was that.
So it's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's fast forward to the time where why did they tell you? Because there's going to be a time of suspension. So let's kind of get up until that point. What why did they say that you can't, and I think it was in the middle of the school year, right? They said that you had to stop teaching in the middle of a school year.
Yes.
How did that all
get there?
transpire? Yeah.
So what happened from the initial conversation, what happened with that is the headmaster got involved.
Okay.
Said that after reading it, how could I be so insensitive? I can't remember the exact words he used, but basically I was a horrible person. And how do I fix the broken relationship now with the Jewish community of Pembroke Hill? Like, how am I going to do that I deserve to go back to teaching? Even in August, he says this to me.
Okay.
Like, how can I possibly fix this and be back in the classroom?
Yes.
And we're talking class meetings were starting 4, 5, 6 days after this.
Right.
And I'm like, what is happening? Are you sitting here telling me I might be fired for something on my personal Facebook page?
Right.
So all that happens, and I have to go through a lot of things. Sensitivity training and...
Of course. You understand that what these people do is they want to redefine, when they say mend what's going on in the Jewish community, these are exaggerated statements. These are lies. These are made up things to make whatever happens sound better, to where this is just maybe a hill too big for us to climb. And we're just not going to be able to take this on or do this.
Right.
And who holds those statements who holds them accountable for those statements? Where is this community? What are they saying? Let's have a conversation now with that community. But it's just not how it works.
Right.
They throw out a statement, and what are you supposed to really
And
do?
I was forced to put
Right.
a statement on my Facebook page, an apology that I was to write. However, when I submitted it to the head of HR, of course, it was rewritten for me, basically.
So they're making you make a post on your Facebook, on your personal Facebook, about the COVID post?
About the one with the Auschwitz in the background, about the not following government mandates.
Yeah.
I had to apologize for being insensitive. I had to say the things basically like, as an educator, I should, hold myself to different standards or something or other. And
how demeaning that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
However, mind you, it's August, and I want to go back to school. I want to go back to teach. I want to be in the classroom. So my brain is, what is it? What hoops do I need to jump through?
Too bad you weren't getting paid like, $200,000 a year for this job. And then maybe it'd be worth fighting for. And you're literally fighting just to help kids and make a little paycheck. Like, that's like, and you're in this government power control, which again, when I say government, public school or private school, this administration, this is a government top-down mentality. You can say, well, they're just the employer and the employee. It's ridiculous. No, this is more than that, and it's different than that. It's the PCBS that's behind all of this stuff. I'm still shocked. I'm trying to get over that part of it.
Well, let me get you.
Yeah. That's nothing yet.
I know.
Okay, sorry.
So that happens in August. I go back.
Okay.
I did have to meet with any Jewish families that had kids in my class that were worried.
Right.
Okay. So I do all the things that I'm supposed to do. I go back to teaching, figure, mind my business, do what I'm there to do,
How many did you meet with anybody?
One set of parents ended up, I adore them. I adore them.
So the community. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure I understand.
Yeah. So I do that. I teach. I kind of watch my back. Now, mind you, from August until January. So first semester.
And this is
2020 into 2021.
Okay, got it.
August, the whole first semester, I'm kind of tiptoeing. There are things happening here and there politically that I've talked to you about that we can get into or not, but things that they're kind of picking at me, like making it kind of challenging for me to do my job.
Right.
But I think that post and everything is a done deal. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. We're good, Then I get a phone call on a Sunday morning. I can't remember if these the end of December, beginning of January. I'd have to look, but I get a phone call Sunday morning from a friend of mine that's an administrator, and she's like, Beth, so there's an article in the Kansas City Star.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, okay. She's like, well, so a couple weeks before this, a swastika was found on a desk, not in my classroom, but at the school.
Okay.
So Kansas City Star did an article about anti-Semitism possibly being at the school. Within this article, they put my post with my name, my Facebook post that I had done back in August.
Wow.
With my name, with everything. I have no idea. But basically they post that and then say something of the sort of, and this teacher is still employed there. Like,
wow. What do you even do with that information?
Oh, as I'm laying about, I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
What hellstorm is this going to cause? You know? And the storm came. So that is when, once that happened, I went to school that Monday. I was like, well, I didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
So I'm going to school on Monday. And I am the kind of person that I just call we talk about the elephant in the room. So with each one of my classes, I talked to all the kids about the post, about what happened, about what steps I was to go through and to be able to still teach and all and it honestly, it did bring about good conversations about like social media and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And your own personal page and what do you share and what do you not share and all of those things, right? So I'm at school Monday and Tuesday talking to all the kids. I was also, interestingly, one of my jobs was head of the conservative club.
Okay.
So we had a meeting, a politics club meeting. So anybody could come, liberals, conservative, anything. And I came to that meeting and basically fielded any questions the kids wanted to know. Also held it via Zoom because, it's COVID days. So we got to make sure the people that are being taught from home can watch too. So anybody could have tuned in, listen to my discussion about it, ask questions about it, all the things. Come Wednesday, I was tired, so I took a sick day. I was just like, this is a lot, because it was very emotional.
Yeah.
I mean, you're being kind of basically told that you've done something wrong, knowing that you haven't done anything wrong, and you've got teenagers also trying to tell you, the 47-year-old woman,
right?
How dare you? How could you post? It was just interesting. Anyway, so Wednesday I take the day. Well, that article is what prompted the big storm. 4, 5, 5-ish alums all of a sudden on the alumni page, Facebook page for the school, ripping about me lies.
Oh,
I mean, ripping apart things that blew my mind. And I was told about this and kind of knew it was coming.
Right.
I mean, I knew what was happening. So when I happened to then get the message from my headmaster of we need to talk, I was like, okay, here we go. And basically that, I think it was a Zoom, I'd have to look at my notes, but that meeting, be it phone or Zoom or whatever it was, that ended with me being told that due to the things that were being said by alumni, 4 or 5 alumni, not, I've taught, in 25 years, how many kids do we teach? 1,500, 2,000, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But due to some of those things that were being said, I'm going to be put on paid suspension so they can hold an investigation.
Okay, so I want to go back.
There's a lot, I know.
I want to go back. Okay, so to this. So I want to make sure I understand. The swastika that was found, where was this found? On a desk?
A desk in some other classroom.
So there's a swastika on a desk, and then how'd the Kansas City Star find out?
Oh, because there's families that go to the Kansas City Star that want... I don't know. Somebody went to the Kansas City Star.
So was it like written into the desk, basically? Was that what?
I don't know if it's drawn on it or I don't know because it went in my room.
So here's it. How about this? How about talk about, which I don't like this word and I'm only using it for a different effect. So we talk about, privilege, and we talk about the rich, and we talk about the different things, the powers that they have. Some of it may be good, some of it may not be. So we're taking, and this isn't meant to be it's just a very this does not happen. To say that, who knows, it could be like little smelly Jimmy over there who's just like messing around and does something stupid. Like, we don't even know his heart. We don't know his mentality. We don't know if anything was said. This was literally something just a dumb kid did in a desk. Mm-hmm. And then now, who is behind? Because I have to think that if there's a connection to the Kansas City Star, and this is coming from a parent, it could be teacher, administrator, but it's coming from somewhere within the school, that they're passing this information on to the Star. And then, and guess what? if you didn't know this Kansas City Star, we had this teacher that had this happen. We're just going to make this whole story up. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, there's nothing, like, somebody explain that to me, except for there is no explanation, because technically, as much as we may not like that this is a reality, any symbol that has a fence to it is just a flipping symbol. It's something that we see and that we know. It doesn't mean that an action took place. There's nobody to punish. There's nobody to say you get 2-day suspension or you need to go to training. This is just a stupid thing that a stupid kid did.
Right.
And now we're going to connect that to you, and we're going to just royally try to mess with your life. And now we're going to put teeth. We didn't have enough teeth before, so now I just think there's something else behind this that you don't even know.
Oh yeah.
That, like, that's what I want to know. I want to know who's saying this, and I want to know all those conversations behind closed doors, because there's manipulation behind all of that, including the Kansas City Star deciding that they're going to put that story in a paper and then try to make you as the bad guy.
Right. Well, and I'm no reporter, but why not reach out to me before you put my stuff in an article? Like, why not reach out to me and say, you know what? We've been contacted about the swastika and and somebody also sent us a copy of your post. Would you like to,
But now we're that's assuming that the media is fair and the media cares.
There's that.
It's all sensationalized. It's a story.
Right.
It's not even a story. I mean, this is okay. So, all right. Where are we at now? So now you're suspended.
I'm suspended.
Okay.
While they investigate.
Right. How long did they investigate? And by the way, folks, the emails and the things that are happening during this investigation, like, we'll highlight a couple of them, but I mean, I'm telling you, you have to listen to this story. It's 3 separate episodes, about an hour each one, and it's worth it. But anyway, how long were you investigated?
So I'm told by the headmaster and head of HR that it's going to be a couple days, that we're going to look into a few things and blah, blah, blah. Now, mind you, to me, I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong, but okay.
Right.
So a couple days go by and I kind of don't hear anything. And also, one of the things that they continue to ask me to do and provide was names of my Jewish students so that they could call those families and kind of interview them about...
Wait, who's providing the families? You are?
I'm supposed to provide who my Jewish students are. Now, what irritated my principal was I said to him, I don't know which of my kids... I teach math. Why would I know? Unless they wanted to share their faith with me. Lovely. Unless it's a Jewish holiday, because we don't test on Jewish holidays or anything. Fine. You're absent. Okay. But... who knows if you're a practicing Jewish? What? Anyway, I say I don't know my Jewish students.
You tell me. You do.
But also, I'm like, you can talk to any of my kids. You can talk to any of my parents.
Right.
Doesn't bother. But it really seemed to irritate my principal that I couldn't list. Mind you, in part of my agreement,
I know that.
You know where I'm going with this.
I do.
In part of my agreement to get back to teaching, in August, I met with some of the Jewish community groups around town, like educational groups.
I want to make sure everybody hears this part. She's meeting with leaders and people within the Jewish community about a Facebook post and a symbol that was put on a desk by a kid, and now all of a sudden she's the center of this. Okay, so you're meeting with these people, and
so I had met with them back in August. So when all of this came down, when my principal and them were asking me for my list of Jewish students, I called them and I said, should I know who you're my trainers, right? You are my Jewish faith trainer. Honestly, they were. I said, so I'm asking you as the professional, should I be able to list my Jewish kids? And literally they're like, Beth, stop making lists of Jews in the 40s.
Yeah, right.
And they were like, we're a little concerned that they want you to know that. They're like, and not to mention, in one of the meetings with this principal, said to me even, well, can you tell me your Asian students? Started listing ethnicity.
Wow.
And I looked at him, I go, so I should be able to look at my students and know their religion? I should be able to look at them and know if they're Jewish? I'm pretty sure that's anti-Semitic. Anyway, so this turned into weeks. Weeks of me daily saying, what's happening? Am I teaching tomorrow? Am I not teaching tomorrow? Nope. We're still investigating. However, Beth, be sure that you are writing lesson plans, doing all the videos to teach your students, but don't talk to your students. You're not allowed to tell them where you are, why you're gone, when you're going to be back. Do not talk to your kids. Do not tell them what's going on. But be sure that you're still teaching them calculus.
Wow.
I am getting text messages, emails. I had a couple kids drop cards at my door saying, we need you back, and what's happening? Are you okay?
Right.
But I'm not allowed to talk to him. Parents are calling. And I'm telling my principal, my head of HR, I'm telling them all this. I'm like, you guys, what's happening? When am I back? They don't send information to the students, to the parents, anybody about Mrs. Reams is...
They're not even replying to all of your emails.
They're not replying to all of mine. Every now and then I would get we have no further information at the time.
Right.
In the meantime, I'm getting copied on emails in support of me from alumni, from parents that are being sent to the headmaster, sent to the principal, I've had 25 years of evaluations. Never one problem.
So fast forward up to the time where
when I got back,
when you got to tell us about that.
So part. I'm waiting, asking, don't know. I'm at dinner one night with my husband on a Saturday night. I'm sorry. Saturday night I'm at dinner and I get an email, and it's from a student saying, Miss Reams, something happened on a group chat that I think you need to know. And had screenshots. There was a group chat of the whole junior class, and the principal's son got on and was saying lots of things about me.
Okay.
Students that were in my class were kind of defending and being like, number one, you've never had her as a teacher. You don't know anything about this. One of my students happened to be a Jewish student, got on and said, she didn't mean it that way. I am part of the community that she supposedly offended. She explained everything. She's one of the best teachers we have. We need her back in the classroom, da-da-da-da. Principal's son basically challenged him. Well, I haven't seen you in synagogue. Like, how Jewish are you?
And so, so you're saying, so make sure I understand. You're in the classroom now, or you're not?
I'm not in the classroom.
So you're not back in the classroom. This is on a chat, student-only chat, that the information got back to you, and the principal's son is questioning or even challenging the
faith,
how Jewish a student is because they're defending you.
Pretty much.
Right. So and there's so many bad parallels to make here where I'm just not even going to go there, but yeah, okay. So okay, keep going.
I immediately email my headmaster. Because in the email from the student that sent me the screenshots, he said, Ms. Reams, I am not comfortable going to the principal because it's his son. And I don't want to get in trouble for turning in his kid, right?
Right.
So I'm like, all right, no problem. I got you. So I go straight to the headmaster because it's the principal's son. So I go over the principal's head. I say, here is what is happening. We need to talk.
Right.
Not okay. Because the kid was calling me all kinds of bad things.
Right.
So he sends back, we'll talk in the morning. I send him screenshots, whatever. That's on a Saturday. So mind you, 2 weeks, I think, maybe 3 weeks, I'd have to look at my notes. Weeks have gone by of me not in the classroom, not knowing anything, don't know about the investigation, other than me being told over and over how awful of a person I am by my administration. Nothing. I send that copy of that chat. Next day, I'm asked to Zoom with the headmaster and head of HR, and I'm asked back to be back in the classroom on Monday.
Wow.
Now, did they say, oh my gosh, Beth, we've gone through the investigation. There was nothing there. Now that we've done that, we're so sorry. You want to know? No explanation. Just, you know what? We'd like to have you back in the classroom on Monday.
So do you think that because the principal's son was involved with some of that verbiage that put pressure on them to have you back? Was it, or what, or how do you even, or who knows?
I mean, what do you think? I think it's a high coincidence.
Yeah, very.
That I'm sitting here saying the principal's son literally
sent an anti-Semitic comment.
Sent an
to a kid, a literal one, actually.
And this poor child, his comment back was, what do you say? I'm definitely Jewish, or I'm Jewish enough, or something. I mean,
right.
Just, and these kids, they're just kids. Right. And honestly, these kids, the ones that we're talking at, that group chat, I love that they love me and want me back. That's fine. Because there's kids on there that didn't want me back. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But my issue was the bullying from the principal's son to these other kids.
Right.
And that got nothing ever came of that. When I talked to the headmaster about it, I was like, what's going to happen to me? Because this was maybe the 4th time this child had done something to me within a year.
Wow.
4th time it had other people had complained about him as well.
Never was a student in your class.
Never was a student in my class.
Yeah.
But nothing that I'm aware of ever came from that. But back to what you said, coincidence that I'm asked back that Monday?
Yeah. Coincidence that a carving gets into the Kansas City Star and that we get to now attach you to it. Coincidences, that's not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah.
Especially those. Folks, we're going to pause. We are actually going to, this is part 1. We're going to get into some other stuff, part 2. We're going to kind of finish the story and get into some other things, but we wanted to lay the groundwork. And I assure you that the groundwork we laid today, while hopefully interesting and even entertaining and sad and ridiculous or whatever thing, or maybe you're like, yeah, whatever you want to think, that's fine. Mm-hmm. You need to check out the entire story. But we're going to be back. We're going to be back next week. We're going to be back after the Chiefs win the Super Bowl to kind of give you enough, as much as we can, about the rest of the story, how this ended up. So anyway, we're going to do the parenting advice and the song. That's all going to be next time. So we're going to not do anything here with episode 36. I appreciate you joining again. Share this episode. Like, there's going to be reels about this on TikTok and Instagram, so feel free to follow. Feel free to spread it to anybody that likes us or doesn't. It doesn't really matter. It's all good. So thank you very much, Beth. We'll be back in a week. Have a great day. See you next time. Go Chiefs.
Thank you so much for listening. Let's keep the conversation going. You can reach out on Ben's website, www.benkeechshow.com, or on social media to chat. And please remember to subscribe so that you never miss an episode.